The offseason had barely even begun. Like, the baseball hadn't even touched Kyle Tucker's glove yet for the World Series to end, and there was already talk about a potential Shohei Ohtani trade. It was fun while it lasted for the 5 minutes that it did, I guess, as it was almost immediately shot down by the Angels themselves, with team general manager Perry Manassian going on to tell reporters, and I quote, "Because he's obviously such a good player, we're not moving him. Ohtani is not getting moved. He'll be here to start the season. I know there's been rumors and all types of things, but he will be part of the club. At the end of the day, it's ownership's call, but I make the recommendations and I think everybody's on the same page. Easy player not to move." End quote. So there you have it. Shohei Ohtani is staying with the Angels. For now. Ohtani has 1 year left on his contract, as he will become a free agent after the 2023 season. He already was set to be in Anaheim next season, but recently signed a 1 year deal for $30 million to avoid arbitration. That is a whole lot of money, but again, it's just for 1 more year, and then he goes out into the free agent market. So what will the Angels' plans be going forward? Well, they can either extend him to a long-term deal, let him walk in free agency, or trade him at the deadline for prospects. Of course, it's not that simple, and any of those three options can turn ugly. If Shohei was a quote-unquote normal player, like if he didn't both hit and pitch exceptionally well, which is something nobody has ever truly fully done since Babe Ruth, things would be a little more simple. I'm going to compare it to this scenario. Think of a guy like Nolan Arenado when he was in Colorado with the Rockies. I want to give a big thanks to SeatGeek for sponsoring this video, which also means you can get $20 off tickets at SeatGeek with promo code iTalk. If you don't know what SeatGeek is, they're a ticketing app that makes buying tickets super simple. I've got the app on my phone, and it's by far and away the easiest way to buy tickets. Whether it's baseball, concerts, or any other type of sport, SeatGeek puts tickets from all over the web in one place to make buying incredibly easy. And they actually tell you if the ticket you're thinking of buying is a good or a bad deal. Green means it's a good one, red means it's a bad one. If you're watching this video, that probably means you like baseball. To get the best seats with the best deals possible at the biggest games possible, I'd be using SeatGeek for when I go to a Major League Baseball game, and you should too. Get $20 off your first purchase with promo code iTalk. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code iTalk. Make sure you click the link in the description or in the comments to download the app. Now, back to the video. He was a superstar, no doubt, but at the same time, was he one of, if not the game's most popular player? Someone who sold jerseys for not just Rockies fans, but fans of all teams? I'm sure he did, but not nearly the amount as some others. So as hard I'm sure as it was to end up trading Arenado, the Rockies did it because they wanted to start building for the future and get a good handful of assets rather than keeping one really good player, while also having an entire rest of the team to worry about. That's just simple baseball politics. It's how it works. If you have a really good or even great player on your team, but the team sucks, you probably will have to trade said great player, even if it will be hard to do so because the value you can get back for that player can help the team's future. Nolan Arenado was incredible with the Rockies and has continued to be with the St. Louis Cardinals, playing his way to a National League MVP award nomination in 2022. With that said, and whether you agree with it or not, the Rockies did what they felt they had to do. As far as the Angels, it's a bit more complicated. The Angels kind of have a lot going on right now, as Artie Moreno, the team owner, is currently looking to sell the team after having owned them for 2 decades, so that's something to deal with. The team has also not made the postseason in 8 years, don't have much pitching, some of the contracts they've given out like the Anthony Rendon one haven't worked out, they're just not a good team. I mean, their literal starting shortstop Andrew Velazquez hit 196 with a 540 OPS this year. That just isn't going to cut it. Like I said, Nolan Arenado is an incredible player. I mean, he's literally a finalist for MVP this season. But as good as he is, just like any player in baseball, he isn't Shohei Ohtani, and that's why the Angels don't have a simple solution to all of this. Shohei Ohtani is a once-in-a-lifetime player. Literally. He won the American League MVP award in 2021 after hitting 46 home runs while striking out 156 hitters, and is once again an MVP finalist in 2022 after hitting 34 home runs with an 875 OPS while striking out 219 hitters with a 233 ERA. It's incredible. He is the one and only person alive doing this. Forget the baseball and number side for a moment. Shohei Ohtani is a phenom and has grown the game of baseball. He sells tickets, he sells jerseys, kids love him, they look up to him. Kids of all backgrounds see what he's doing and aspire to be like him. Despite losing 89 games and missing out on postseason baseball for the 8th straight season, Angels games had an average of around 30,000 people in 2022. Why do you think that is? It isn't because of Andrew Velazquez, that's for sure. It isn't something we don't know about either. What it is pretty clear. Shohei Ohtani. The man brings people out to see him, whether it's in Anaheim or while the Angels are out on the road somewhere. People love Shohei. It's gotten to a point where the Angels must feel that although trading Shohei Ohtani may help their chances for building a winner, that also means if they eventually ever do win a World Series, Shohei won't be there, and they don't want that. Ohtani is a player you want to have on your team no matter what. Now, obviously, if there was a crystal ball that told the Angels they would suck for the rest of Ohtani's career if they kept him, he'd be traded, but there is no crystal ball to tell them that. So it seems as if the Angels will keep trying to build a winner around Ohtani and Trout in hopes it will eventually work. But this seems to be the final shot at that. The Angels need to have a good offseason. They need pitching, pitching, and more pitching. Doesn't mean they need to go out and unnecessarily spend a ton of money on free agents. Be smart with your money and know what to invest it in. For example, going after a guy like Justin Verlander doesn't make much sense. Go for younger players, under-the-radar players, throw a ton of cheap stuff at the wall and see what sticks. If you're wise about how you do it, some gems could be found. It's way easier said than done, obviously, but the Angels need to find pitching. As far as the offense, Anthony Rendon waking up would work wonders for them alongside a healthy Mike Trout. Maybe get a bat or two, but don't go overboard with crazy contracts. The bottom line is that the Angels need to win in the first half of 2022. If they don't, and it looks like they're out of the race by the trade deadline, they might have to trade Shohei. But even if that scenario comes to fruition, they might still decide to keep him. And honestly, I won't blame them if they do that, considering him alone makes the Angels such a watchable team, even if they're a bad team. But if they don't deal him, they will then almost have no other choice but to sign him to a massive contract either before or after he becomes a free agent. You cannot let Shohei Ohtani walk in free agency without getting anything in return. It will be interesting to see how the potential new ownership handles things because this is such a big next several months for the Angels franchise. This can determine so much. So will the Angels decide to keep Ohtani long term? Will they trade him or let him walk without really getting anything? Whatever the case is, it's been made clear that Shohei Ohtani will most likely be an Angel on opening day 2023. And what's also clear as day is that if they don't start winning by midway through 2023, the near future could look pretty bleak in Anaheim.